Hello and welcome to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg. I'm here today to do a Friday Reads video where I wrap up the week in reading and talk about any exciting book news that has happened. We have some very exciting book news that came out just this morning as I am filming this, and that is that we are getting a new Booker Prize category beginning next year, but it will be awarded for the first time in 2027. Usually, when I do a Friday Reads video, I will talk about the exciting bookish things that have happened in the world first, and then pivot to the Friday Reads video, or portion of the video. This time, I'm going to do the reverse. So I'm going to quickly talk about the Friday Reads portion of the video, and then we'll talk about, I have one other thing I want to talk about before we get into the exciting stuff about the Booker Prize. And the reason I'm doing it that way is that there isn't a whole lot to talk about in the Friday Reads portion of the video. I didn't get a whole lot of reading done this week. I do want to start, though, by saying that I got another package from bookshop.org this week with A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. I'll talk more about this book when I film my book haul for October next week. But this was something that somebody purchased off of my wish list on Bookshop. So I just wanted to say thank you, because it doesn't include a note. It doesn't say who gave the book to me. So I wanted to mention this is the second time that's happened, and I'm surprised and delighted. But if you gave me this book, A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr, I just want to say thank you. You don't have to identify yourself, although the last time it happened, the person who gave it to me did identify themselves in the comments. That was great. I was able to say thank you to them directly. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. I just want to make sure I say thank you. So thank you. I'm so excited. And this is a tiny book, and it is a book I've heard really good things about. So maybe I will end up reading this very soon. We shall see. All right. In the Friday Reads portion, I didn't actually finish anything. So the books that I was currently reading in my last Friday Reads video are the books that I am still reading, and I haven't finished either one of them. Those books are Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is the book that I am reading in print at the moment. I am now halfway through. I've just been reading very slowly during the week. I made a lot of progress over the weekend, and then during the week, things kind of stalled out. I think there's a fair amount of anxiety that I'm feeling, and it's kind of getting in the way of reading. It's made it a little difficult to focus on a book. So I'm working my way through that, but I am really enjoying Rebecca and hoping to make good progress on it and have it finished by the end of the month, because at the slow rate that I'm going, there's a bit of a question mark. But I have actually been enjoying taking my time with books. Last week, I talked a lot about how having a BookTube channel and doing a weekly Friday Reads makes me feel pressure to keep reading and have things to talk about and finish things so I can talk about them and move on to the next thing. I have enjoyed taking my time with both Rebecca and the other book that I am currently reading. So if you are unfamiliar, Rebecca is the story of an unnamed woman who marries a man named Maxim de Winter, who has a widow who died about a year earlier named Rebecca. After they marry, she moves into his estate, which is called Manderley, and quickly begins to feel that she is living in the shadow of Rebecca. She's a very insecure person, a little bit naive. She has married up in social class, so she is very unaccustomed to this world. And part of why she feels in Rebecca's shadow is that Rebecca was kind of born into this. She had confidence. She knew what she was doing, leading an estate like Manderley. And our protagonist doesn't. So that's what the book is about, and I'm halfway through. Can't wait to finish it and then rewatch the movie. But I'm also, as I said, enjoying taking my time. So if I'm not done with it by the end of next week, it's fine. It's going to be fine. On audio, I am listening to Brooklyn by Colm Tabine. I did not mention this last week. I don't think I did. But the audio that I am listening to is read by Saoirse Ronan, who played Ailish, the protagonist of this book, in the film adaptation. And the copy of the book that I have is the film adaptation or movie tie-in edition, which I don't usually like. In this case, I'm fine with it. beggars can't be choosers to a certain degree. Because I did find this at my local used bookstore. This is a book about Ailish. I already said that. She has grown up in Ireland and is having a difficult time finding a job. Her brothers have already immigrated to England, where they are working in factories. Her older sister has found a job, and Ailish is sort of struck. She's taking bookkeeping courses, but there doesn't really seem to be work for her. So her family sort of plans to have her go to America. She isn't really keen on the idea. She would prefer to stay, but in order to make her family happy, she agrees to go. So she goes, and I should say I'm about halfway through the book at this point. And last week, I was right at the point where she was about to arrive in America. So now I've been through a good portion of the time where she is in America. She's been dealing with at least one bout of homesickness and settling in and getting ready to trying to find a way to make a life here. And also sometimes dealing with the fact that now her family doesn't really know her because there are things that she feels like she can't put into her letters home. And dealing with all that, she's also now met a boy that she is dating. And I had mentioned that my mother had found the movie offensive because of its portrayal of Italian immigrants, and I didn't think there was anything offensive in it, and that's all I remember about the film adaptation. Reading the book, like, some of the characters do say semi-offensive things about Italian immigrants. Maybe it's that my mother is a first-generation American, that her hackles are raised more quickly by things like that, whereas I, who's a second-generation American in her family, am just not as bothered by things like that. So I wouldn't even call it a critique of the book, and probably not even the movie, although I will rewatch it when I'm done with this. I'm really enjoying it. It is speaking very heavily to me, and Colm Tóibín is a beautiful writer, so hopefully... Although I'm enjoying going slowly, especially since Saoirse Ronan does a really good job with the audio, which is not surprising. She's a great actress. She was nominated for an Oscar for her role in the film. So I'm enjoying going slowly with that one as well. With that, let's pivot to the non-Friday Reads portion of this video. And the first thing I want to talk about before we start talking about this new Booker Prize category is that I am going to be out of town on Halloween, which is Friday of next week. Friday is the day that I usually film my Friday Reads videos. So I am going to film, I want to film a video about the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence long list, which came out yesterday. The reason I'm annoyed about that is that I wish it had come out before I did my video about my early video about Pulitzer possibilities. But you know what? The whole purpose of that Pulitzer video was that let's talk about where things stand right now before we start getting some of these big book prizes and best of lists and things like that. I saw the list had come out while that video was uploading on Wednesday. So on Thursday, because it posted today, which is Friday, as I'm filming this. So anyway, it's out, and I thought it would be fun to do a video about that and do a little bit of updates about how it caused me to add 2 different books to my list of Pulitzer possibilities. So we'll talk about that. I also want to do my book haul. So if I'm going to do a Friday Reads next week, I will have to film it early. But it's going to be a bit of a crazy week, so if I am only able to film those 2 videos, the reaction to the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence long list and the book haul, I might schedule the book haul for Saturday. Either way, you will get a video on Saturday next week. It might not be a Friday Reads, though. And, if you get the book haul before Saturday, you'll know that there will be a Friday Reads video. If you don't see it, then Saturday will be the book haul. And thank you for your patience. It's just last minute, something that we were supposed to do later in the year bumped up, so it can't be helped. And again, I'm not going to try to stress myself out to film 3 videos next week. If I can do it, great. If I can't, it is what it is. So let's talk about this Booker Prize edition. And the new prize is the Children's Booker Prize. And immediately upon seeing that it was a children's Booker, I kind of thought to myself, if I had known that they were going to be adding a prize, I would have guessed nonfiction. But I guess the Women's Prize for Nonfiction kind of stole some of their thunder on that, so maybe they just wanted to go in a different direction. And then as I thought about it, before I started reading what they say about the Children's Booker Prize, is that, well, this is actually kind of cool and audacious that they're doing this. You know, the National Book Award is the only major book prize that has a category for young readers. The Kirkus Prize does as well, but, you know, I wouldn't say that that's like a top tier prize like the National Book Award is. And it's nice to have these book prizes recognize literature for young people. And then I started reading about what they say about why they decided to do this. And it just really makes sense. So, you know, I don't think it would even be the case that they had thought to themselves, we should do a nonfiction prize. That would be really great. And then the Women's Prize came out and they're like, all right, well, we got to pivot and move in a different direction. It sounds like this was the intention. They've probably been planning this for a long time. So here's what they say. This will celebrate the best contemporary fiction for children aged 8 to 12 years old. That also surprised me because I guess when I heard children's Booker, I kind of assumed young adult, which I think a lot of people do when they hear children. You just assume that young adult will have more of an air of sort of legitimacy, which is not fair at all. And I was guilty. I had assumed, I did it. I assumed that they were talking about young adult literature. Although that would have kind of, if that was the case, it would have called it the Young Adult Booker Prize. But it's the children. So it's 8 to 12 years old, written in or translated into English. And that's fun and interesting as well, because, you know, right now the Booker has separate categories for translated literature and fiction, or just literature, really. But for the children's category, it can be either one. It can be translated or written in English. It just has to have been published in the UK or in Ireland, or in Ireland, I guess. Here's what they say about the goal. Our aim is to engage and grow a new generation of readers by recognizing and championing the best children's fiction from writers around the world. And I think that's a really good goal. So I feel very excited about this prize, in case you can't tell. The inaugural prize, which will reward £50,000, which I think I saw is around $66,000 US. It will open for submissions in spring of 2026, with the shortlist of 8 books revealed in November next year. And I thought that was interesting as well, because the typical structure for the Booker Prize is to announce a long list and then announce a short list. And they're jumping right to the short list. And I'm assuming that at least in the beginning for this children's prize, they're going to time the announcement of the shortlist to happen around the announcement of the Booker Prize. Since they are announcing the shortlist in November of 2026, it just kind of makes sense to me that they are sort of deliberately timing the announcement of this new prize's shortlist around the time that they're announcing the winner, because they'll already be getting a lot of press attention, and maybe it will call more attention to the shortlist for children's literature, because I could see a world where the children's Booker Prize gets less publicity than the adult prize, at least in, say, major publications, because their audience is adult. And they might have a question about whether or not adult readers will care about a prize for children's literature. So I think that's clever. It will be interesting to see if they deviate from that schedule in the second year of the prize or beyond, because once it is a little more established, maybe it will be able to stand on its own a little bit. Maybe they will start announcing a long list earlier. They could, I guess, announce a long list timed to the announcement of the short list for the Booker Prize, and then announce the short list tied to the announcement of the winner of the Booker Prize. That would kind of make sense to me. But maybe they just want to see what the flow of the prize will be and get a sense of how it will be working before they commit to something like that. Sorry, I moved the arm of my chair. It makes a loud noise when that happens. So the winner of the prize will be announced in February of 2027. So the prize is starting next year, but it will not actually be announced until February of 2027, which is also nice because they have deliberately set this on a bit of a different schedule than other book prizes. Although, the reason it's using that time period is most likely because they don't want to compete with the time period for the International Booker. So, this prize will be done. They can head into International Booker season, take the summer off, and then Booker Prize. And then the cycle will sort of repeat going from there. So there will be a fun, almost annual calendar of events for the Booker Prize right now. And you'll get at least part of the summer free before the long list for the Booker Prize is announced. So what's also interesting about this is that the winner will be selected by a combined panel of child and adult judges, chaired by the UK's children's laureate, Frank Cottrell Boyce. And they'll explain a little bit more about how children will be incorporated in a moment, but I think that is so fun because the National Book Award has a category for children's literature, but it does not involve children. It's decided by adults who are on the jury. So this is really interesting. And then at least 30,000 copies of the shortlisted and winning books will be gifted to ensure more children can own and read the world's best fiction. And I love that. They're promoting literacy. They're giving books to kids. I love it. I love it. Reading among children is an important thing. It changed my life. I'm sure if you're watching this video or follow along with this channel, it probably was a big deal to you. Although a lot of people come into reading later in life, and that's fine. But for many people, a love of literature starts when you're a kid. And promoting that, engaging that in this world where there are so many other things that could distract you from reading, I'm just fully behind it. Fully behind it. Moving along in the announcement. Now, I will have a link to this announcement post in the description box down below. And you can go there to get more information. I'm kind of skimming over the important parts and focusing on the important parts, I should say. I will also link a video that they did, which is adorable, announcing this. It doesn't get into any of the details. It's just really cute and adorable, and I would recommend that you watch it. So check that out down below. And the chief executive of the Booker Prize Foundation, Gabby Wood, also released a statement in this announcement. She called this the most ambitious endeavor they've embarked on in 20 years. And she says, quote, "It aims to be several things at once. An award that will champion future classics written for children, a social intervention designed to inspire more young people to read, and a seed from which we hope future generations of lifelong readers will grow. Yes, yes, and yes." She continues, "In other words, the Children's Booker Prize is not just a prize, it's part of a movement, a cause that children, parents, carers, teachers, and everyone in the world of storytelling can get behind. We're delighted that Frank Cottrell Boyce, master storyteller and passionate advocate, will be the inaugural chair of judges, and we can't wait to hear the views of the ultimate judges of the quality of children's fiction, children themselves." End quote. I am also really excited about that. I think this is such a delightful thing, and I really hope we get a lot of adorable videos of kids talking about the shortlisted books and the winner. I am so behind that, so behind it. So, how the Booker Prize will work. I'm just going to read from the website. Uniquely, the Children's Booker Prize will be judged by a mixed panel of adult and child judges. Multi-award-winning children's book author and screenwriter Frank Cottrell Boyce will be the inaugural chair of judges. Frank and 2 other adult judges will select a shortlist of 8 books. So adults will select the shortlist. And that makes sense to me because I feel like getting children to read all of the submitted books and choose the shortlist would be pretty unwieldy. So this sounds like a better system. And I'm guessing that the 2 other adult judges have not been named at this point. So submissions are to be started in spring of 2026. So by then we will probably know who those other 2 adult judges will be. And they continue. 3 child judges will be recruited with the support of schools and a range of partners across the culture and entertainment industries to join the adults in choosing the winning book. The process will give children a direct voice in the outcome, ensuring the winning book is recommended by young readers to their peers. And Frank Cottrell Boyce says, quote, "Every child deserves the chance to experience the happiness that diving into a great book can bring. The Children's Booker Prize will make it easier for children to find the book that speaks to them." I love that. I love that. I love that. He does continue. By inviting them to the judging table and by gifting copies of the nominated books, it will bring thousands more children into the wonderful world of reading. I'm absolutely buzzing about the news that I'm going to be chairing the judging panel. It's going to be, as they say, absolute scenes in there. Let the yelling commence. And I'm just really excited about this. I do hope that when they select these 3 child judges with the support of schools and a range of partners across the culture and entertainment industries, that they cast a wide net. And obviously, reading will probably have to be a bit of a requirement. You need people who are kids who are capable of reading, who enjoy reading, and are fairly literate. So, but I hope that that doesn't mean that they're just going to pull from, when they say that they'll choose them with the support of schools, I hope that doesn't mean that they're just going to pull from like elite institutions of learning. I think it would be better if they cast a wide net, find kids who just are champions of literature, no matter what school they go to. I think that would be really great. And when they also talk about working with a range of partners across the culture and entertainment industries, like, I hope that doesn't just mean that they're going to be picking child actors. I think, that would be fine. It's okay. But I just hope that they manage to find kids from a broad range of backgrounds who are capable of participating in this process. I think that would be the sort of best outcome. We'll find out when we know who these 3 kids are. And I'm guessing that there is a lot of time before they will have to decide that, since, they'll have to have the 2 other adult judges before, when they start accepting submissions, because they'll have to be reading through those. They might not need to have the children who will be joining the judging panel until the shortlist itself is announced. So obviously they'll be working on that leading up to that. But, I think it could be likely that the 3 children would be named when they announce the shortlist. So we'll see. It's a new book prize. It's a new major book prize. And although I do read young adult and children's literature, I don't do it very often. So this might also be good for me, expand my reading horizons, and I'm always in favor of that. The last thing I wanted to mention before calling it for this Friday Reads video is that if you know Middle of the Book March, which is a channel that Kim has, she took a bit of a break earlier this year. She's back, and this is one of my favorite BookTube channels. It just helps calm me down in a very anxious world. So she's back, and I did want to mention that. And in particular, she just did a video about Abby Jimenez's books, and I find all of her videos delightful, but that one, and it does mention me in there, but just as someone who she had seen read Abby Jimenez's books. So it's a fun video. I thought she makes a lot of great points about why Abby Jimenez and her books are so good and why they stand out in the world of romance. So I will link that video down below. You can check out that video and check out her channel. She's great. I absolutely recommend her. So I think that's it for this Friday Reads video. I, again, will hopefully have a video about the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence long list for fiction next week. There will be a book haul for the month of October. And if all goes well, there will also be a Friday Reads that I will have to film in advance to have it on Saturday. But that's TBD. So we'll find out. Fingers crossed. As always, I really appreciate your time. I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.